Our attitude about waiting often shapes how long we think we've been waiting on the Lord. In 2 Peter 3, verse 8, it talks about, it says, with the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. See, God's not bound by our human constraints of time, yet we attempt to constrain God all the time. But Scripture is full of the use of the word time and how we're to relate to it. And it's always God's time, not ours. And you can probably think of times in your lives where, the timing didn't work out for you, where you weren't completely satisfied with what God had to say in this timing thing or making you wait upon something. Take, for example, this really cute little blonde-headed kid named Lori. Man, I was cute when I was little. I'm going to preface that by little. And Frank can be quiet at any moment in here. But man, I was little. But see, my brother, and I think I've told you before, my brother was 7 years older than me. And my sister was 10 years older than me. And there is nothing worse than waiting on Christmas morning for a kid of 5 years old. Well, my brother and sister were in charge of refereeing and restraining me from making it to the living room. Because, see, I had a dad who worked for the Army Corps of Engineers, and he did this thing called, worked at the locks or the bridge tender, was a bridge tender. Where I'm from, there's a lot of bodies of water, so there's a lot of bridges and things like that. So he was someone who worked on those. And he had a shift from, he worked from either from 8 to 4, 4 to 12, or 12 to 8. Which one do you think is the worst one for a 5-year-old come Christmas morning waiting on Santa Claus? Let me just tell you, it is the 12 to 8, waiting upon your dad to get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Can't I just take a peek? Waiting sucks when you're that old, right? And you're just waiting to get out there and see what Santa brought you. And what I had to do was have a brother and sister that, thought I was cutest thing that they had ever met. And just loved having to restrain me or entertain me to keep me from trying to get out into the living room. Waiting is something we've had to do all our lives. Something we like to do sometimes, and sometimes we don't. When I was that age, waiting for Santa, really waiting for my dad to get home so I could hang out with the stuff that Santa brought me, was hard, and I didn't like it. Waiting is not something we do easily. But if we jump back to Scripture and start thinking about it, waiting is all over the place in Scripture. In Ecclesiastes, it says, He's made everything beautiful in its time. In its time. See, God doesn't just answer His prayers. He makes sure that it comes to pass in the perfect moment. Galatians 4 says, but when the set time had fully come, God sent His Son. It's a reminder that God is meticulously orchestrating the events in our lives, fulfilling the promises that He promised, but in the right moment.